This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Hi there, are we still there? Is anybody still there?
Bonnie, are you able to hear us?
I know, I've been waiting since 5 o'clock. I have not thing.
Okay, I think that the mute button was clicked on here, and I did not notice somebody had clicked it. Hopefully not me. Bonnie, we are here and we just started. Thank you for getting in there. And hi, hi, Jody. Now we know why you didn't say hello back. Okay.
So an agenda has to be posted by the city clerk. It'll be provided to you 48 hours in advance. If you have an item you want on the agenda, you talk to Cindy or whoever is chair. The idea is deliberation. You're not allowed to deliberate. And then one of the things that came up a couple of times on the council is emails. Emails are dangerous in the sense that if you decide to email each other, if there's more than 7 of the members on that email, that's a violation. It is recommended, and I was reading the guidelines, stay off of email, stay off of social media, because it's subject to FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. And anything you write down, like you want to email, if I want to email Tom about something, I can, because it's just 2 people talking on email, but it's subject to open meeting. It's subject to FOIA requests. So if somebody wants to say, what were those 2 talking about? They can ask for it. The other thing that happens sometimes is a member can't make a meeting and wants to express their opinion on, let's say, the location of the senior center. If they send that to the entire group, that's a violation of open meeting, because even though you might say, we can't deliberate on this, it's still a violation, because that's considered deliberation, even if you just want to give your opinion. So
Can I just ask one question? I'm sorry. Are we going by the agenda? Did I miss the introduction? All that?
Sorry,
I don't even.
Can I?
yes,
Yeah. So Bonnie, I'm so sorry that we were on mute. We did do the introductions and I introduced you on your behalf, and that I'm so sorry. And we will catch up next time, but we just introduced our names and the most basic information. So Dan's just going over the there's just the basics of being on a municipal board right now.
it's basically
So that wasn't on the agenda though, right? Roles and responsibilities, or
You didn't miss that at all.
okay. All right. So he's okay.
the role, all meetings will be recorded. I've said that. If we decide to have subcommittees for some reason, those subcommittees are subject to open meeting law. So if there's 5 people on a committee, 3 represents a quorum. So that reduces the amount of people that can talk. Now you guys can talk to each other, verbally, as long as there's not 7 of you in a room talking, you're not violating the open meeting law. So I could discuss something with Pat or whatever. That's okay. If you're not here, I just read this, we have to do a roll call vote. So if you can make the meeting, it's best, because the meetings go faster, because all we have to do is say, all in favor, aye. But unfortunately, if you're not at the meeting and you're online, we have to do a roll call vote. That's subject to it. Okay, public speak time is something we'll discuss as a group. It is not required by open meeting law, but it is something that most committees have, allowing the people to speak before the meeting begins. We probably won't have any public hearings like they have on the city council. So that'll be the only time that the public could speak if we decide to do that, but it's not required. So that's just something I want to say. Anybody have any questions, or did I miss something?
just, if we do vote in that we will have public speak, you can't have, the member of the public who wishes to speak cannot speak to anything on the agenda. They can only bring up a topic that is not on the agenda.
I have to correct you. They can speak to anything. We just can't discuss it.
Okay, okay.
No respond.
They may want to speak to something.
Okay.
If the agenda is talking about the location, they may want to say something, but we can't have a debate, deliberate with that person. Okay.
Bonnie had a question.
I don't even know who Dan and what he's taught. So he's just talking about how a committee runs within a municipality. Is that what he's talking about? I don't know. Trust.
We're just setting up the very basic information that you need to be on a committee.
Okay, thank you.
Did I miss anything, Salem? You've been on the council.
Yeah.
You're catching up to me. So.
And
No, I think you're good.
just one clarification, that key with email, if you and I were emailing back and forth,
That's not illegal.
that's not,
It's just not recommended.
the danger was if there was an email and somebody hits reply to all, now you've brought everybody into the conversation, whether you intended to or not.
The other thing to say
Reply to all, be careful.
along those lines is Cindy or the chair of the committee can send out information like the next meeting will be on October 27th to the entire committee. And you might want to ask, hey, I don't know, you might respond, I can't be there or something. That's okay. Information and anything like that is okay to send by email to the whole committee. We just can't deliberate on agenda items that are subject to.
You
And-
should still, just one thing, like, if you are doing that, you should still like put a little disclaimer for information only.
Yes.
And you can, you could share an article about something, you just wouldn't want to state any opinion about it.
Well,
And you would say, do not deliberate this.
Cindy actually included a great many links at the bottom of the page here, and that's fine. That's information.
And and to keep everything accessible for everyone, if there's something you're supposed to read for a board meeting, that's actually considered an attachment to the board meeting. So that part is public also. So that's why I save these links to the city page and then I post them right on the agenda. So there's no, because we don't make copies of everything anymore. So if you have an accommodation need where you need it printed out, please let me know. Okay, so we're gonna talk a bit about what do building committees work on? You do have the job description a little bit from Mayor LaChapelle about, what is this committee going to be doing? What's your role as a member in terms of participation? What type of work we will perform also relates to a typical timeline. I don't know if we have time tonight to get into what a typical pieces of a timeline might look like. Certainly not how long each part would take, because that's different in every community. And then reflections from the work of other senior center building committees in terms of what would make a good building committee and what would make a good building committee member. So why don't we start with that last one first, because Jody Zepke, director of the Ludlow Adult Center, is actually here. And then we can get into the other things here. Now we only go until 6. However, with anything we don't cover tonight, no pressure, because we can, we'll be back next month. We're not in a rush at this very second. So Jody, thank you so much for coming. Many members of the Council on Aging Board and the ad hoc committee went to Ludlow, and if you've read the minutes of our meetings, many people loved the Ludlow Center, and there was one other center that they also really loved, but Ludlow was in the top 2. So you guys did a phenomenal job, and we want to know, how did you get there as a building committee? What do you think, given your experience, what are the essentials a new building committee needs to know?
So our committee was 7 members. And there was a town meeting article that said who was going to be on that building committee. So I didn't have a ton of say in that. So it was a liaison from the Board of Selectmen, DPW. I'm sorry, I have an echo. Let me try putting my headphones on. All right, let's keep going. Somebody from the finance committee, the COA chair, myself, and then two community members. Can you still hear me?
We can hear you. The sound is crappy and it's on our end.
Okay.
Microphone is picking up sound from your speaker. See, I think this was supposed to be on mute.
Yeah.
No.
I just lost you.
We're just not talking, Bonnie. You're still good.
Oh.
Check. 1, 2, can you hear us now? Do you still got the echo?
I can hear you, yeah.
I feel like when I'm talking, I have an echo, but are you guys hearing an echo?
No echo on our end.
It's just static on our end, Jody. So if you can tolerate it, we can keep going.
Okay.
And
I would say to make sure that you have people on your building committee that are invested in the senior center, meaning come to the center, know what you offer. Unfortunately, I didn't really have that. It was me and 6. I wish no offense to the men's room, I wish I had another female on the committee. And I really wish there was somebody else that knew the ins and outs of this center.
so, yeah. And then in terms of, in terms of your timeline and your tasks as a building committee, starting from being in, your insufficient building in the basement at the old school / town hall. Did you start your building committee already with a site?
No. So we put the building committee together. We started looking at all types of different sites in town. And then we chose a site. I'm trying to remember. Because I think we actually purchased the site before we got our OPM. So we had to purchase property. There wasn't any town-owned property that was available for us. So for those of you that have been there, we paid market value, which was $450,000.
So Jody, from the time you started this project to the time you moved in, how long roughly was it?
I knew you were going to ask me that. So we broke ground. I want to say that the committee was put together in October of 16. We worked, or 16 or 17. So basically we broke ground in December of 2019, and it had passed the vote in March of 19. So probably we met 2 years as a committee.
And then how long did it take for them to build the structure?
A year.
A year, okay.
Yeah. We built through COVID.
Okay.
So we broke ground in December of 19. The building was essentially done in December of 20. We didn't get our occupancy until February, but it was because of small, minor things.
Tom?
Jody, this is Tom Brown, and I did have an opportunity to tour your facility as part of our ad hoc building committee, and you were number 1 on my list. Cindy might have another number 1, but you're number 1. Ludlow. You all get a chance to visit the Ludlow Senior Center. But my question is, did the town have to appropriate funds for you to get some basic design? You couldn't go out to bid for an architect or an OPM with a blank piece of paper. Obviously, you have to have something in place in advance to do that.
So we had done kind of a feasibility study and had an architect come up with a plan prior to going to the town. We got past 9.8 million. So no, we must have done that in 18 and broke ground in 19. Because we must have gone to vote in 18. We broke ground in 19 because we had to get an OPM and a design and an architect and all that before we put the shovel in the ground.
I think you missed, Cindy. Dan Rist, Jody, I think you misunderstood. There needs to be an architect hired to do a feasibility design so that we can tell the voters, this is what we're thinking of building. And the architect says it's going to cost $9 million. So you had to have an appropriation to hire that architect, correct?
My friends.
Go to town meeting to get that.
No, my friends group paid for that.
You're kidding. How much?
No. They appropriated 50,000. I want to say it was about 35,000. I will say you will not learn anything you don't already know, but for some reason, people believe experts over the experts that already run the center.
On a feasibility study.
That's a feasibility study, but the design concept only.
So we had just a basic design concept. It completely changed because we didn't go with the architect that did our feasibility study.
So how did you pay that person? They did just, I'm assuming they didn't do it out of the kindness of their heart.
The architect wasn't hired until after the project was accepted by the town.
Yeah. So just to clarify for everybody, because I've had this conversation with Jody in the past. So when the Council on Aging Board and the Ad Hoc Building Committee spoke with the former mayor, and I explained this, that some places spent very little, relatively little on their initial feasibility study. So what we talked about is that we did spend around $30,000 on the feasibility study of the current building that showed the limitations of the current building and why a new building is needed. And then that what at the time, what she was saying in terms of Easthampton is that you would want to go, you would want to get to the point of, say, a rough maybe 10% quote initial design and have narrowed down to one or two possible sites. And then, so to do that typically costs much more money than the $35,000 that Ludlow spent. Even though we already spent $30,000 doing the first part, looking at the current building, it's very likely that it could cost anywhere from $75,000 to $200,000 to do all the other pieces you would do, which could include you've narrowed down to one or two sites and they go out and actually look at those sites. They look at, well, this site is like this and this site is like this. And so potentially two different and possible building, like 1 floor or 2 floors, how much wetland is there? And then another piece associated, but not necessarily run by this committee, is a needs assessment was last done for the Council on Aging in 2018. And it's we could do an updated, and we also have we could put in a request separately to do that. And that what that does is shows officially, like say with UMass doing it, what are the needs that aren't being met? Although we've done a lot of that work and research. So,
you can do all that yourself. I mean, we didn't have to hire anybody to look at property. We did that on our own. We looked at an old school that was coming. They were trying to build a new school. So we looked at the school. We looked at different properties. The town did have a lot of town-owned property, but it would have had to be like septic. And it was way out, towards like the Belchertown line. So, but we did all that on our own as a committee. We didn't have to pay anybody to do that.
And I think, Cindy, a lot of that's been done by the ad hoc committee. And I may have said it once before that, let's just say we hone in on 2 sites. And the committee, part of that report shows what it is you want in the building. Rooms for this, rooms for this, rooms for that. I think the architect has to make it work on that site or this site, or come back with the pros and cons of each site. So when we built Mountain View School, they had to make it work on that site because we had no other place to put it. So they made it work.
And the advice from the architect that did the study of the current building was way better to go to an architect with one site that you've narrowed down to, because that's going to be way more efficient and also affordable. Did anybody else have any questions for Jody? Like basic questions about, the work of a building committee towards getting to that vote in town where the public is saying, yeah, spend millions of dollars on a senior center and design one.
What was the amount, Jody, that you had to go to the voters for?
9.8 million.
That was for a debt exclusion?
Yes. And we have not closed out the project yet because we're still waiting on a generator, which is a whole nother story. So our committee is still together. I have lost 2 committee members, so there's only 5 of us now. But we're still a committee.
And that's another good point for everybody, which was mentioned in the job description for this committee, is that the committee, just like with the school, continues after the grand opening of the building because there's more things to work on for at least a year or more. Anybody else?
I think my biggest advice, though, is don't release any pictures. Kind of figure out what you would like to offer. The other big thing for us is that we had like a grassroots group that really did all the pushing for this. They held signs, we had yard signs, all that stuff is so important. And that was way beyond the committee. It was like a subset of my friends group. They did information sessions with fundraisers. So like I couldn't get up and speak, but I was there to answer questions. But literally held signs every weekend, and it was winter because the vote was in March. As soon as we could start, promoting it, and we did. And then once it passed, the next day we drove around to put thank you stickers on every single sign in town that supported the center.
So that's another function of the committee, is whatever the committee's working on, this committee's in charge of the marketing and publicity in a way, because you're coming up with, what do we want to talk to the public about? And then it would go through, in terms of the Council on Aging, staff and the mayor's office, there's a process for releasing information and so on. But as she's saying, the senior center itself, the Friends of the Council on Aging can also get involved in that marketing.
As they should. You need the people that come to the senior center to be the ones that are promoting a new one. Cynthia, I think I told you, I ordered pink t-shirts. Everybody wore pink t-shirts. When we went to town meeting, everybody had a pink t-shirt on. I packed town meeting. And then, we had a whole vote party, and it was really great. That whole process was actually really great. And that was totally outside of the building committee. My building committee had nothing to do with that.
Jody, thank you so much for sharing just some information with the group. It helps kind of make it real. And also we have members of this group that have served on other building committees and on the ad hoc building committee. And so we thank you for your wisdom as well. So we want to let you go, Jody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, anything you need, just let me know.
Yeah, see you soon.
All right, take care. Bye.
Thanks, Jody. In terms of reflections just from the work that other senior center building committees have done, just before we leave this item, does anybody else want to share anything that they learned from talking with other senior centers about their process?
I should say, and I want to thank Leslie again, the ad hoc committee's report actually asked those questions, and Leslie did a great job of documenting them. Those very questions. So all of you that have not been on, you need to read the report and get into each of the communities. I like South Hadley. Tom likes Ludlow. I just want everybody to know that there is a great deal of information that the ad hoc committee's already done. A lot of the groundwork, a lot of the legwork has been done. and I'm just going to say this, I hope we don't have to repeat too much of this, but everything's on the table, but a lot of it has been done. So we could reflect back to the report when discussing location, facility, programming, whatever, because that work was done by a 9-member committee and we worked hard on it. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Okay. So so member roles. So one of the things that we
Wait a minute, one more thing. Oops, can't raise my hand. Oop, oop. What's the best way to do an audio raise your hand? I just wanted to offer, guys, my mother and my aunt, who are seniors, have been with the Holyoke Senior Center since it was in the cellar of the War Memorial Building, and we're part of the building of the Holyoke. I noticed in the information I read, you didn't go to the Holyoke Senior Center, so I'd be willing to definitely go there, dig deep, and figure out what was successful for them, and come back and bring that to the committee. So I just wanted to offer that.
That's great, Bonnie. So Holyoke is one of the communities that we didn't get to, and I think, and so that's a really kind offer. But back to, so we were talking about, the required municipal training, open meeting law, and all of that. So another piece is member roles. So most boards and committees have officers. So we would be looking at chair or co-chairs, vice chair in case one of those people is absent, and secretary who takes the minutes and makes sure to submit them. And that's typically done by election. This body doesn't have bylaws the way the Council on Aging Board has bylaws that kind of explains all of this. So you can think about that. And then if you want, next time we could elect those officers, if that makes sense. We could.
You have the word officers down. It's not an open meeting law violation.
Yep. Does it say? Yep, it does say officers there. So
I'm only bringing it up, Cindy, because
yep.
You could use some help from those people that are there.
Yes, if you see me now I'm 3-headed because I'm doing this part and I'm doing the facilitation part. And then, let's talk about what is the chair? What do they typically do? Vice chair and secretary. Does anybody want to chat who has done those roles want to speak?
I've been a chair of many committees. I'm co-chair of the CPA committee now. I've been a chair of president of the city council, and I was chair of the finance committee for many years. You keep decorum. You make sure the agenda is followed, and you follow it strictly because of open meeting laws. The chair is a facilitator. They don't make the decisions. They make sure everybody's heard. But the other thing that I like is the quorum, where if you need to speak, you raise your hand, that kind of thing. So I will say it right out loud. I wouldn't mind chairing this committee, but if anybody else wants to do it, speak up.
And then it's my understanding that the vice chair simply does that when the chair is not around. And the secretary, if that's the word we want to use, keeps the minutes, makes sure the minutes get filed with the city clerk, make sure the minutes get out to the members to be voted on at the next meeting.
And I have to say this, minutes are important. No offense to the city council, but there have been some city council meetings, minutes of the subcommittees that still haven't been sent to the clerk. So we need to make sure we do that.
And then in terms of being a regular member, you have a very important role because anything that gets done, you would be making motions to approve minutes, for example, and that would be recorded. You are voting when you're supposed to vote. You're thinking about whether you want to vote yes, no, or abstain. And we have a handout we can give you on what abstaining means and when you would use your choice to abstain. And then the committee can decide whether it wants to use Robert's Rules of Order, which is an orderly way to run a meeting. Anything else about member roles and responsibilities? Being prepared for meetings, reviewing the agenda. Please sign up for Notify Me on the city website, because if the secretary or chair, whoever's going to do it, doesn't accidentally doesn't send you the agenda, if you're signed up for Notify Me, then you will get a text or an email with the agenda yourself. And anything else? And I can help
I have a
you.
question.
Bonnie?
Yeah, is there a role that has a strong marketing component? Because that's kind of my passion forte. My power. So this is all new.
I think, Bonnie, what you were saying is that you'd like to work on marketing and have a role in that.
Yeah, so what any of those roles have that as a component, or is that separate?
Do you want to speak to that, Pat?
Sure. I think the three main roles that we have to get through tonight are those three. Well, we don't have to, but I think we should try to get through those. I just wanted to say, and this might answer your question, Bonnie, that over the next months, years, however long this takes, there are going to be several other layers and I would anticipate several subcommittees that will be formed, a small group that's going to work on marketing, a small group that may want to work on, X, Y, and Z. There could be other things. So I think that definitely that's something that we can keep in mind. And that will probably come as we're moving along. But I think the three roles are the ones that are going to be important to get established over the next.
Gary,
I'm sorry, I missed you, Bonnie. What was that part?
that is chair, vice chair, secretary,
That is correct.
Yes. Yes.
and there's no treasurer.
There's
No treasurer, not for this.
Okay.
Scott, there's no money involved.
All right, fundraising. Okay, just curious.
Down the road. And that might be an entirely different group. I know that Jody had mentioned some things about how this group did things. I know that with the school, when, as part of the school building committee, there were certain things that we couldn't do as a committee.
Right.
We couldn't necessarily fundraise, but there are subgroups that are kind of done outside of our committee. So that may be something down the road that you can look at, but not as a committee as a whole we would do.
Right. So
Okay.
there's other roles that, so for example, the Council on Aging director, me, I'm allowed to campaign for a new senior center. But if I go to a meeting of the Friends group where they're raising money for a new senior center, I can't solicit for donations because of the different roles and rules, if that makes sense. Okay.
Where's school coming from?
So Bonnie, I'm gonna wait to have you ask any more questions right now. So I just want to do a time check. So it's 5:41 and we're gonna end at 6. So we've got another 19 minutes. So we want to move to a couple other things. So it sounds like we want to have possibly, not everybody has spoken, an election tonight for the positions. And then we can also go a little bit over some of the basic parts of what a building committee would be working on. And then, oh, look at that. Some of my little pieces didn't print out. That's okay. I have them on my phone. So since we haven't established how we're doing business and we don't have Robert's Rules of Orders yet, Dan, I'll just ask you, Dan. So if we were going to hold an election, do we actually have to vote to hold the election?
Yes, and we have to do a voice vote.
So somebody needs to make a
I think
motion.
you just open nominations, don't you?
Yes, I would suggest nominations for chair. You should say that because you're chairing this meeting, whether you like it or
So
not.
you would open the nominations,
So-
take nominations. If there's no others, you close nominations, then you ask for a vote for each position.
Do we have to make a motion to? No. Okay.
Just open nominations.
Okay, so as the interim chair, I will open nominations first for chairing the committee.
I'll nominate Dan Rist, seeing he wants to do it. And he's done it plenty of times. I think he's good at it. If he's not, we can impeach him.
Would anybody like to nominate any other members for chair?
I think technically that needed a second. Oh, you did.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Leslie. Wait till we get to you. We're gonna have seconds and thirds.
Oh, let me just explain one other part, which is that on this committee, because we do have staff on the committee in a leadership role, namely the Council on Aging Director, I provide support to developing the agendas, making sure, so whoever's running for chair, you're not 100% responsible for making the agenda, figuring out what all the attachments are and doing all the planning. Okay, you're running the meeting,
We will have to speak a lot.
right? You have to talk with me. Okay, anybody else interested in being the chair? I don't see any. Okay, so I'm just gonna put down in terms of that, and then should we take nominations for vice chair now and then the others, or close that? So it's not a slate. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna take a vote, and this is a roll call vote so the people online can participate. So
Actually, you can just say by acclamation, I'm elected because there's no.
Oh, no. The no votes.
yeah, okay, so I'm gonna call the roll. So
You should technically.
it's not clear whether the mayor is a member of this committee. We haven't heard.
I don't know.
Say nothing then,
Yeah,
for now.
Yeah, I can just,
So
Yeah, I would
I'll
just-
just let you guys.
you can vote no still.
Well, as was pointed
If
out.
he's a member, I'm gonna nominate him.
As was pointed out, Bonnie, when we were on mute, actually it's not, is it are these appointed members or they're selected members?
They're appointed by our office.
Right, so the members which have been mayorally appointed total 12 at present, which is not an odd number, which makes it difficult to vote. So for this vote, I'm going to absent myself. Just consider me staff, okay? So I'm gonna call the roll. Bonnie, yes, no, or abstain for Dan Rist for chair?
I don't know, Dan.
I'm really not a bad guy.
You can
Okay.
abstain, you can abstain.
I don't know you. I don't know your background. I don't know anything about you. I can't just vote for somebody I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Fair, very fair. That's an abstention then.
That's fair. So
Okay.
Bonnie, you're gonna abstain, okay? David,
Yes,
okay? And Pat,
yes.
Dawn? Yes. Leslie?
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Dan,
I'm not sure.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
and just in case it doesn't come out in the AI I'm writing, Tony? Yes. Okay, the yeses have it. Dan is chair. And now we will open nominations for vice chair. So this position needs to substitute for Dan if he's not available as chair. And
I nominate Tom Brown as vice chair.
Wait a minute, I was trying to nominate Pat Brown. You're shaking your head no.
You have nominated.
Pat was trying to get out the window.
just to get through all this without too much,
Banter.
banter. So did I hear that there's a nomination for vice chair?
Can I nominate myself?
No, Bonnie, you'd like to nominate yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, Bonnie has nominated herself for vice chair. Did anybody actually nominate Pat or Tom?
Dan did.
I nominated Tom.
Okay, Dan,
Leslie seconded. Do we have a second for Bonnie?
do we have a second for Bonnie?
I'll second for Bonnie.
Okay, David seconded for Bonnie. And so Dan nominated Tom and Pat seconded that? No, who seconded Tom? Leslie, sorry. Leslie. Any others for vice chair? Okay, so I'm gonna run the roll call for the vote, and I'm gonna start over here. Dawn, voting,
You
sorry,
say the
How do
name.
you do that now?
how do you do that for two candidates?
Just say who you want.
So who you want, you're voting for or abstain?
We're a completely transparent committee. You can't, that's another thing you can't have is a secret vote. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
just so you know.
Okay, so
All right, so
Bonnie,
now you're just saying who you choose.
who you
Okay.
choose. Okay, Dawn?
Tom.
Okay. Leslie?
Tom.
Tom?
Tom,
Okay, hang on. Elizabeth?
Tom.
Okay. And Anne? And Tony? And David?
I'll say Bonnie.
Mhm. Okay,
Bonnie's gonna
David.
say herself, I imagine.
Okay, wait, David. And Bonnie? I'm calling the roll call for the vote for Bonnie, Tom, or abstain.
Well, obviously, I'm gonna vote for myself, but it's kind of a losing battle.
Patrick?
Bonnie.
Okay. Okay, so we had 3 votes for Bonnie for vice chair and 7 votes for Tom for vice chair. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like I didn't write somebody down. And no, I got you. Why is it 10? 1, 2, 3, 4,
'Cause you
5,
didn't
6,
vote.
7, 8, 9, 10.
There's 11.
No, but
people.
there's 12 people. Oh, because Erica's not here.
Yeah, yeah.
Erica's not here.
And
That's
it's a
why it's not
7-member
12.
quorum.
You're good.
Right,
Doesn't matter.
but we're
Yeah.
good. Okay, so Tom is elected vice chair. And now secretary. Are there any nominations for secretary?
I nominate Leslie for secretary because she does a phenomenal job in every other board she's served on that I've been a part of.
Second,
Second that.
Tom nominated and Ann seconded for Leslie for secretary.
I nominate Salem Derby.
Okay.
Did somebody second it?
Ann did.
Okay, good.
Was anybody else interested in running for secretary or nominating somebody else?
I will admit, I'm not the best at taking. Correct.
And you do not have to take notes word for word, and you can use the Google transcript and the AI note taker to assist you. Okay, hearing no other nominations, I'm going to call Leslie, do you accept the nomination?
Nobody asked us.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to start over here. So Pat,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Bonnie,
Abstain.
abstain, okay. And Tony,
Yes.
Ann,
Yes.
Elizabeth, Dan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Dawn.
Yes.
Okay,
It's not that
Okay.
difficult to vote for yourself.
so the yeses have it. Leslie is elected the secretary. So thank you. So we have our officers. Thank you so much. Just checking on the time. So we have just a few minutes left.
You have a question?
No, I'm gonna make a suggestion before we end, that we go back through and announce who's here, just because I don't think it was recording. And so that way you have that.
Oh, in
Yeah,
case
but-
when it was on mute, it
Yeah, I don't
wasn't
think it was-
recording.
I think that's the case.
I think that it does
Somebody-
record,
You do?
but let's not
Just to be
assume.
Cindy,
Let's not
and then
assume.
I might suggest to that, when we adjourn, everybody has to say their name.
Oh, okay, we can do that. We can do that at
Things at
adjournment.
once.
So we'll,
There's two questions, sorry.
yeah,
The videos for these,
Yeah.
are these shared somewhere? I
They
can't
go to
remember.
the city clerk and they're shared online.
Okay, they are on e-media or
Has
somewhere.
that changed at all, Salem? Lynn's, no?
So
it should look,
should go to media.
So if we wanted to, it goes to e-media, but you can access them I think a day later by just clicking on past meetings in the website.
Okay.
So right now, until there's a separate page developed for this board or committee, sorry, the Council on Aging Board is hosting it. And so if you go there, it's not clear. It just says Council on Aging regular meeting agenda. Just look for the date, the 29th, and next to that will be the agenda, then the minutes when they're posted, and then the video should be there. And if it isn't there, then you go to eMedia on YouTube, I think here, and then you'll see the video. And then if anybody's any trouble, you just write to me and I can send you the link.
The reason I asked that was for a couple things. One, to help the person that's doing the note taking or the minutes. But it's also a great way, if you can't make a meeting, to be able to go and watch the meeting later, just to kind of help, refresh. If you're weird like me and you want to see what happened at the meeting that you're at, you can go back and watch just to kind of get yourself updated what happened.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to save a little extra time for the adjournment since we're doing that by roll call. That will take a little bit longer than a minute. So of all of the things that we said we could choose from to talk about today, we could table types of work that this committee will perform until next time when we can talk about it more. And then hopefully all of my slides will have printed out. And also I will have gone to the Massachusetts Councils on Aging conference by then and participated in another building project part of the conference and can bring you back that information. I'm kind of hoping it's another architect this year and not the same one that was there last year, so we can get, a different perspective maybe, and hear from different senior centers. And then the other thing we didn't talk about under types of work is tentative timeline. So just before we break from this meeting, I wanted to share with you a timeline that I heard from the preceding mayor for some of this work that we are not, obviously she's gone, but just to give you a sense of where this committee, like what the train looked like then. And then it's really up to the mayor and because we would need an appropriation to hire a consultant to do work, and that would be a significant amount of money. We would be asking city council for an appropriation. So timeline the thought was if this committee had one or two top sites preferably, but even if they didn't, once free cash is certified, if I'm saying this right, that in December potentially an appropriation could be asked of city council so that those funds were encumbered for a time period. Even if this committee is not ready yet to put out a request for proposal to hire a consultant, it can take the time it would take to develop a request for proposal to hire the consultant and do some more work within the time frame that if it's awarded an appropriation, it's allowed to spend it, which is what we did with the last group, where we went for an appropriation for just under $10,000 to hire a consultant to help us with that study. We did the ad hoc study, but we weren't ready immediately, but we had a period of time in which to spend it.
Cindy, I'm confused by consultant in this process.
That would be the architect. So
Architect.
right. So it shouldn't take too long to develop an RFP because we already did a bunch of work. But the real sticking point there is, will you have the support of the mayoral administration to go for that appropriation? But even before that, if there are 4 or 5 sites that have been looked at, it's so rough and nobody has really sat down and crunched on that. Like, which ones totally don't work, which ones might work, with all of the many different professionals, employees, and others who have to weigh in on that. So there's work to do.
It's coming back to me a little bit. Pat, help me out if I'm on the school building committee. The part that you might get pro bono is when word's out that we're looking at building a senior center, the architects are going to be calling us probably. But if they meet with you and go over what it is you're looking for, I need this many rooms, they come back with a design and make their pitch to be your architect, to be chosen as your architect. So here's this beautiful building. Here's how we're going to design it. And we can build it for $15 million on whatever site you pick. And then this committee would look at all three of those and choose one. If there was 3, 2, whatever it is. So that part doesn't cost you anything. It's when you choose the architect and then you got to get to that 10%, 25% design phase to be able to go out to bid. That's when it starts costing real money.
Yeah.
I think we were also talking about money for a feasibility study, though.
That's the part that Jody said, in her opinion, with all due respect to the people that do feasibility studies, was a waste of money because at the end of the day, they don't tell you anything you don't already know.
Well, in theory, didn't we already do one in 22?
So it's just, I'm just gonna
Sorry.
put a pause. No, it's okay. So it's 5:59 and we have to adjourn, but as you can see, just in terms of like even understanding where we're at and what are the next steps, it's all part of the work of the committee to talk about it, ask people to come in, invite in DPW, public safety, the procurement agent is one of the first people to talk to, just to even learn what are all the different steps and processes that, you know, the site and that you have to go through. There's just so much work that you have to do to gather the information that you need. Okay, so we're gonna roll call the adjournment.
Can I make one statement before we do?
Yeah.
I want to thank both mayoral candidates for coming. They didn't have to be here. I know we invited Salem, but Lindsay's here too, because we're going to rely on the next mayor, whoever is elected. And they came and they listened to us. And I want to thank them for that.
Thank you.
So
Would you like as your first role as chair to conduct this adjournment? Because I'm thirsty.
You're the most popular person here.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, and I'm going to do a roll call, but state your name for the purpose of everybody knowing. We're going to start with the left.
Elizabeth McAnulty.
Yes, you want to adjourn?
Yes. Dan Longley, yes.
Tony Corella, yes.
David Paquette, yes.
I want to make sure we get Bonnie online.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your first name? What's your full name, Bonnie?
Oh, it's not on the minutes anywhere.
All right, we have
Bonnie
her.
McLeod.
Bonnie McLeod. Okay. David, you said
Yes, David. Patrick Bruff, yes.
Cynthia Trail, yes.
Don Gresham Moore, yes.
Leslie Button, yes.
Tom Brown, yes.
Dan Rist, yes.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we will adjourn and our next meeting is October 21st, 2025 at 5 p.m.
27.
21st or 27th?
October 27th.
Is it?
7th. Yes.
Why do I have the 21st? Because that's the next
Because
board
that's our
meeting.
council
Number
meeting.
3 on C.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.